Okay, folks, we're going to try to make this video again. I made about 20 minutes of it a minute ago, and this whole electrical system goes haywire. Anytime I have a real excellent video that reveals stuff, guys, this happens to me. If I got something that's mediocre or it's not really going to amount to anything, it never does anything. But when I got something real good, it acts up major. And I don't know if it kills this time. What I'll do is download what I have and just make a part 2. I don't know what else to do. But I've got a good video for you today. What I'm going to do, everybody's got their own interpretations of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, his dream, and the 5 parts of his prophetic dream, okay? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to break that down. And I'm going to break it down in Strong's Greek, Ancient Greek. And I don't think anybody's ever did that before. I've never seen anybody do it. But the outcome of it was quite a bit different, folks, than other people's. But to me, it all made sense. We'll see what you have to say, okay? So let's begin. To keep this video from being too long, let me basically go over an overview of it for those of you who don't know the story. Now, Nebuchadnezzar, he had some dreams that disturbed him. And they disturbed him so much he wanted to know what the interpretation of the dreams were. So he called forth all the wise men. And he was a very rigid, very bad king, folks. Yeah, he was, it's just the way most kings were, as all pharaohs are. But anyway, he called forth the soothsayers, he called forth the magicians, the sorcerers, and the only one of the Lord was Daniel and his prophets, and his family, which his family aided in some things with him too. And that's all he had. He didn't have a dozen people surrounding him, you know, like others. But King Nebuchadnezzar said, I want to know the interpretation of this dream. And I want to know it now. And if you people can't tell me what this interpretation of this dream is, I'm just going to have you people killed. Well, they're like, well, what have we got to go on, sire? Do we have anything to go on? Can you show us anything to just open a door with me? He said, no, I don't. You are the wise men. You know. You should know. You tell me what the dream is. So they finally came to him and they said, Sire, there is no way in the world that someone can do this. You are asking the impossible. What are we supposed to do? Just be able to prophesy this out of thin air? With hearing of nothing, with no directions on anything? Only someone from the heavens could do these things. And so finally the word got to Daniel. And Daniel got word that they was going to put him to death along with his prophets. And he said, what's the urgency? And so we'll pick up on that on chapter 2, 18. So Daniel went to the council of wisdom. Daniel answered Arioch, the captain of the king's guards, who had gone out to kill the wise men of Babylon, because they couldn't answer the dream. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree of the king so urgent? Then Arioch made the decision known to Daniel. So Daniel went and asked the king to give him time, that he might be able to tell the king his interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house and made his decision known to Hannah, Mishael, and Azariah, which is his family. That's not his prophets now, it's his family. His companions, that they might seek mercies from the God of heaven concerning the secret, so that Daniel and his companions might not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then the secret was revealed to Daniel in a night vision, so Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Now listen to what he does, folks. He exalts God before that he tells the king anything, which anyone like that should do. Blessed be the name of the God forever and ever. The name of God. For wisdom and matter his, and he changes the times and seasons. He removes kings and raises up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep secret things. He knows what is the darkness, and the light dwells with him. I thank you and praise you, O God, my fathers. You have given my wisdom and might. I have now made known to me what we asked of you. For you have made known to us the king's demands, to destroy the wise men in Babylon. He went and said thus to him, do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Take me before the king, and I will tell the king his interpretation. And the king answered and said unto Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, are you able to know and reveal to me the dream which I have seen and its interpretation? Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king has demanded, the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, and the soothsayers cannot declare to the king. But there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he had made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days. Your dream and the visions of your head upon your bed were these. As for you, O king, thoughts came to your mind while you were in bed about what to come to pass after this. And he who reveals secrets has been made known to you that will be. But as for me, the secret has been revealed to me, because I have more wisdom than anyone living. And folks, he did. He was of the tribe of Judah, folks. Same lineage of the house of King David, okay? But for our sakes, who made known the interpretation to the king, and that you may know the thoughts of your heart, you, O king, were watching, and behold a great image. This great image, whose splendor was excellence, stood before you, and its form was awesome. This image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image of its feet of iron and clay, and broke them into pieces. Then the iron and clay and bronze, the silver and the gold were crushed together, and became like chaff from the summit threshing floors. And wind carried them away, so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Now let's start the interpretation, okay? Okay. This is the goat head. The goat head is reminiscent of the creation of the earth and the beginning of man. G, as a double meaning, is commander for Adam. And that's only fitting because Adam, he had dominion over the earth, over the animals. G is also by birth of a woman. That makes sense because of Eve. Now, on the ode of the goat, okay? The O means the piercing of the veil. That's what it means. Now on the LD, guys, this one's the one that's really going to get you, and it is what it is. And I couldn't interpret it as ode together, because if I didn't break it down to O and LD, what ode would have meant as a together instead of separate, it would have meant ancient. And that is not logical. It's not logical because we're talking about the beginning of time, the beginning of creation, so how could it be ancient? So if it's not logical, what you do is you look for a secondary meaning. You have to understand those things, folks. So that would not be ancient because it wouldn't be logical. This is not ancient. This is new at the time. Okay? So the O would be the piercing of the veil, and the piercing of the veil would be what? That would be the egg being fertilized by the sperm or conception. Makes sense? Everything's lining up so far. But the LD on the goat, that one's the one that gets me. It's an elder, a bad, a Lexus, a poor. It's one who causes impaired language, and confusion. It also means morphology, which pulls words get pulled apart to the point where they have no logical meaning. That's what that means. That's what it means. So somehow Satan, whatever he done here, which I know many people talk about the apple being bit and what metaphorically that meant. And I kind of agree with you guys if you say it was Cain and Abel, and Cain, was the seed of Satan, and Abel was the seed of Adam. And I understand all that, but isn't it something that the symbology that was created right there off of the Greek interpretation on that sort of had an even deeper meaning? This, apparently, folks, whatever they did in there, it caused two things. Number one, it brought about childbearing. I can tell you that. It definitely brought that about. And it also brought about a state of confusion in man. A state of disillusion. A state of a separation from, what would we say? From reality, from logic. And they had to have had sex, guys. I want to tell you something. You remember when they covered themselves up right here? Without going too awful far. If you hadn't ever used those organs and then all of a sudden you used them and the nerves got struck up, it makes your head consciously aware of what you did. And then what did they do? They ran over into the woods into guilt. So you see, human reaction, cause and effect, that only made sense while they covered themselves up like that. Because it made their brain consciously aware of what they had done. So you take that for however it is. I'm just interpreting it, and I think that this is the correct interpretation, guys. I've matched a lot of this up with astrological signs and stuff like that too. But the thing about it is, guys, I can't go through all that because if I did, the video would be 2 hours long. And I can't get nobody to watch a 2-hour long video, okay? It's as simple as that. Alright, let's move along. Now, we've got the silver. The chest and the silver. And the arms. The seal is a power, a great authority. A divine power. Seal is. Ver is true, genuine. True, genuine, and virtue. Okay? And arms is symbolic of the outreach of the world. A is for alpha. Like God. And RMS, folks, on the arms. The RMS is for voltage that causes the lamp to shineth with brightness. Now, I'll give you a good example on that RMS. The RMS Titanic. The RMS Titanic boat was a diesel motor that was what? Turning a giant electrical generator. Therefore, it was called the RMS Titanic. Yeah. Can't make it up, guys. So what we got is we got the creation of time and Adam. And the silver with the arms. We've got the age of Christ. There's your 2 ages. Now let's move on to this 3rd age. Alright. On that 3rd age, it's got the belly and the thighs. Bel means the master. Lie means in like manner of. So they do it in like manner to the master. Thigh, Thi, is a white person of ethnic race. White. And GH on that thigh really gives it away, guys. What that means is, it means to go to new earth and new land, to new mainland. And it means open sails as in S-A-I-L-S, not C-E-L-L-S. S-A-I-L-S is in sails on a boat. That opens it up big. It did. It opened it up big. GH, another thing besides that, also means this. 3.14 or pi in Greek. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at it. Now that would only make sense, folks, because 3.14 pi would be equivocal to covering the earth. And if this is symbolic of the Irish and the Scottish and the British Isles covering the earth as one of the lost tribes of Israel, which is what I say, if that's symbolic of that, it would only make sense that once the West is settled, which is what the process of that is doing, that you would have what? Mankind has covered the earth from one end to the other. 3.14. This stuff is not an accident, folks. It's not an accident. There's no way you can make this stuff up. There's no way I can make this stuff up. You either have the gift of foresight by the master, or you don't. You can't make this stuff up. I can't sit down and make this up like a comic book. It's impossible. You can't do it, folks. Okay? So that's the belly and the thigh. And really, you're saying, well, you mean to tell me, Jerry, you think that is the Irish and the Scottish people? Yes, I do. And guess what, folks? I'm going to show you something that's a little bit unbelievable. Right there's a kilt. You see, we got a picture of that. I think I got a picture of it over here. See, we got a picture of that. Right there you go, a kilt. It matches up with the ages on the image. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I can't make this stuff up, man. It's impossible. I could make this up if I tried. There's no way. You can't make this up. I wished I could make up something like this. Hold on. This is something that I really wanted you to see when it comes down to Ireland and Scotland. And by the way, guys, I tried every way in the world that I could to get this video out. I broke this video down, Mel Gibson's William Wallace, to show you he was an aristocrat, to show you he was the blood lineage of Judah. And folks, every way that I have tried that, YouTube has shut me down. They have stopped me. They have hammered me. My video just disappeared. This video could disappear because I'm showing you this. This is his tomb, folks. And what do you see right here? Right there. The red letter of the tribe of Judah. Same thing I got on my coat of arms. And guess what, folks? I knew before I seen this, and I knew before I looked this up. I knew for a fact that I was a descendant of the tribe of Judah through the house of Wallace. I knew it in my heart. Why would I go looking for this when I didn't know it existed? Sometimes God shows you things, folks, and when He shows you stuff, you have to follow your heart. And my heart is I'm like this man. My heart is I'm from the house of Wallace. These things just don't come together on their own like this, folks. You just don't go looking for things like this knowing they exist, and then when you find them, it looks exactly the way that the Lord showed you. It don't happen that way. It doesn't. So let's go on with the ages on the King's interpretation. All right, folks. The fourth age. The iron in the legs. Right here is your age of Aquarius, folks. We're not going into the age of Aquarius. Don't listen to these stupid people that is sitting back and telling you right now, we're looking at the age of Aquarius. No, we've been in the age of Aquarius, folks. And it brought about an atmosphere to show you that. What happened during the Industrial Revolution? You remember what they said? The woman quit staying at home and she become empowered for herself. That is an aspect of the age of Aquarius. She become empowered. Look at history from it, from back right around 1900 to the turn of the century, of last century. She was empowered to the workforce, the age of Aquarius. And why was she empowered to the workforce? Because of what? The Industrial Revolution. And what did the Industrial Revolution bring about, guys? The manufacturing of stuff out of what? Iron. So there you go. That's pretty simple, and I'm going to leave it at that. Your legs, which by the way are pretty on a woman, can't make it up. So that would be representative, or what is one of the prettiest things on a pretty woman? Her legs. That represents the Industrial Revolution. That's what it represents. Of course, the black symbology there could potentially also represent, because, you know, angelically black is kind of a dark color, an evil type color sometimes. It could represent World War I and World War II too, as a dark time. Something tells me maybe that it does. So the head, you've got the beginning of time. You've got the silver. You've got Jesus Christ and his age. You've got the settling of the entire world on the belly and the thighs. You've got the Industrial Revolution. Now, let's go to the feet, into the iron and clay mixing. Okay? And it says the iron and the clay, that it will mix, but it will not adhere to one another. Okay? And I know what that is, guys. And this is where it gets really, just like some of my other videos, it's going to be something you may not understand. But I'm even going to show you a little video at the end of this. It can't be, like I said, this feeding clay that's the fifth age, this can't be. This can't be, and not only because of what it is, but because of what is said in the Bible after that it's over. It can't be. It can't be the age of Aquarius. This fifth age right here of the feet, of the mixing of clay and iron, it can't be the age of Aquarius. There's no way. None of it fits up at all. None. Absolutely none of it fits. You know, you will know what it is. It's the fifth and final Messianic age. And the iron and the clay mixing, but will not adhere to one another. That is the mixing of what Satan's going to try, of artificial intelligence, of transhumanism, to mix a human being with electronics. That's what it is, guys. And actually those who worship him have been promised these things. They've been promised to ascend another way, except entereth into the door of the sheepfold. And remember what God said, folks. He who entereth in another way is a thief and a liar. But he who entereth into the sheepfold, he's entered into the correct way. And that's what that means. And so the story on that's transhumanism. The age of mixing and interfering with DNA, folks. It's the thief in the temple of God, people. And you're like, no, Jerry, they're building the temple over there in Israel. No. It's the thief in the temple of God. Know ye not that ye are the temple of the Holy Ghost that's in you, Christ? God does not dwell in structures that man makes. This is what he's after, folks. This is the final frontier of the Antichrist. to entereth into the temple of God as a thief. That's what this shot is, guys. You know what I'm talking about. I know it is. I know for a fact it is. I can't say much or they'll shut my video down. And the ones who serve him, guys, on this earth, the ones who serve him directly, they've been promised to ascend another way. And I'm pretty sure that Aleister Crowley's part of this, guys. There's too much evidence Crowley's alive. And you know, I wouldn't say that, guys, unless the evidence would be overwhelming. Look at my video the other day that I had of the demon Lam that he was possessed by, the demon Lam, and the flux capacitor, which was featured on Back to the Future. And what was it supposed to be designed for? Time travel. And that's what it is. That's what that emblem represents. It's identical to it on the movie and around his neck, both. The flux capacitor. He's promised the aristocracy. He's promised these pharaohs of the world, who are the kings and queens of the world. If you don't understand that, go to my video. It says the kings and queens of the world are the pharaohs. And let Dr. Haras explain it to you. And it's true, guys. I mean, if you go to these if you go to these castles and they got these sun spheres and obelisks and lions everywhere, and Egyptian cats and all this stuff that you see in Egypt and stuff, and snakes and everything else all over these castles, what do you think they do that for, folks? And then when you look at their coat of arms, and they got a lion in their coat of arms, and yet they're the king of the Netherlands or the king of Russia or something like that. A lion doesn't go that far north. It never did. There's no lions in Russia. There's no lions in the Netherlands. There's no lions in England. They brought that stuff, folks, from Egypt. Those lions, okay? The concept of the lion. It's in southern Israel and in Egypt, across the Red Sea, you know, conditions would be favorable for lions. But as far up north as what a lot of these are, and then they've still got these lions in their coat of arms. Nah, it's just it's common sense, folks. To ascend another way is what he's promised them. And this pillar that's missing right here, in the eye of providence, this is what he's trying to fill in with his AI agenda, to complete it, to ascend another way. Instead of entering into the door like the sheepfold, he wants to enter in another way. Because he wants to be God. Yeah. Folks, I hope some of you sooner or later take it upon you to learn how to speak grammar, Latin, which is a closely paralleled language, or at least learn how to speak Greek. Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't know that, you can't sit and tell me you understand the Bible. And I know that might be hard for some of you to understand, but it's the truth. And I never knew that. But it's the truth. You can't get a higher sense of learning off this stuff until you study Greek. Or at least Latin, which is a paralleled language. Now, I wouldn't recommend studying Hebrew, which is closely paralleled to Greek too, and especially ancient Hebrew, because some of it is so old and they don't know exactly. They kind of guess at some of it, but then not. But then maybe some of the elders might actually know it, but you're not going to know it. And if you can't know it and you can't apply it to logic, then guess what? It's not reality, so don't try that. But the Greek language, yeah. Yeah. So let's see here, folks. There is the Queen's chair. I'm talking about the Windsor Palace, Queen Elizabeth. They are not Windsor. They changed that in World War II. They are the Germanic bloodline of the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha bloodline. Really, they're more from Belgium than they are England. And they're not either. They're not English. They're not from Belgium. They're Pharaonic. They're from Egypt. Whenever they go on vacation or something, they don't go down to Germany and drink beer with everybody and buddy it up. Where do they go? They go to Switzerland, where the non-primogenitors is that founded the Knights Templars. That's where they go, to the Swiss Alps. So you see, they don't have no heritage with Germany. They're pharaohs. But this is the stone of Jacob. And they have that coronation stone underneath their chair, is what they've got. And that's the stone of Jacob and the tale of Jacob's ladder into heaven. That's what it is. Ascension is the concept of it. They proclaim they are of the tribe of Judah, but they are not. They are descendants of the ancient Viking kings of the Norwegian territories. They are not descendants of Judah. They are descendants of the tribe of Dan, which at the time they were in Israel before the second temple burnt down of King Solomon. That was the Pharisees that put Jesus to death. And this is where the Antichrist will arise from, and that's where he is arising from. I had somebody tell me the other day, Jerry, there's no way you can know that. Even God's most elect will be deceived in the end. Well, you know, they were looking for a big fine king whenever Jesus come along, and he didn't even have a place to lay his head. So when these people think that they're looking at someone that's big and fine sitting in a chair, he don't mean that, folks. When he says God's elect will be deceived, he means everyday average common people like you. And guess what? You are being deceived, because you guys don't know this. William is the only one that has the proper blood lineage for the Council of 70 of the Sanhedrin to declare him the Messiah of David. Okay? Now, you can either believe that or not, but that's just simply, if you believe it, that's fine. But if you don't believe it, guess what? It still doesn't make it true, does it? I mean, it still doesn't make it false, excuse me. And so there's Jacob's ladder, you see. That's the concept of it, ascension. From Jacob laying his head on a stone, having a dream of ascension into heaven with a ladder. Okay? That's what it is. And actually, folks, from a metaphorical standpoint, that's DNA. So now you see what Satan's after. That is what he's after in this last and final messianic age. The temple of God. Know ye not, ye are the temple of God, of the Holy Ghost, which is within you, Christ. And that's what he wants. He wants in the temple of God. Because God does not dwell in temples that's made with man's hands. This is his temple. And this is what Satan is after, folks. And I don't have to tell you how he's after it right now. You see it in the news every day. And I know some of you are going to tell me, Jerry, these people know a lot more than you and this and that. Now, let me tell you something, folks. Whenever the disciples said, Jesus, what will be the sign of thy coming? What was the first thing he told them? Let no man deceive you. Let no man. Let no man. So guess what, folks? I take up counsel with Christ. I take up counsel with the Lord. I don't take up counsel with news. I don't take up counsel with authorities. Those people can be hijacked by the evil one, and they do get hijacked by them, and they are hijacked by them. And who's hijacked by them? Practically all of them. Unless, of course, you're like Julian Assange, and, you know, in the WikiLeaks thing, you know, he's in jail, and he was the one that made Wikipedia. And they wanted him to start changing meanings of Wikipedia, WikiLeaks, Wikipedia. And he wouldn't do it. He said, I'm not changing the people's reality. And they cast him into prison, folks. I don't care what they tell you about Julian Assange, I know the truth. Julian Assange, people, is a martyr of Jesus Christ. Julian Assange is an unsung hero because he refused to touch your reality. But now they're beginning to touch it. They're beginning to touch it now. I can show you how that internet lies. Psh, that internet lies like you wouldn't believe, man. And, you know, speaking of lies, there's some people around here that belongs to this organization that lies a whole lot. And this is one of your founding fathers that you people think ought to be telling you the truth. And, you know, the history of these people aren't exactly what you think they are. You know, they were involved in some things that you didn't know about. Some of them even had little kids buried underneath their house. Can't make it up, folks. I don't trust any of these people. No. Who do you hold allegiance to, Jerry? Nobody. Jesus. That's it, folks. You take counsel with the Lord. You don't take counsel with man. You know, just like Biden and Trump, they're not my God. This man's not my God. This man's not my founding father. My founding father is Jesus Christ, folks. Because you see, when did you ever get taught about that? When did you ever see that? It's there. It's all there. Every one of them's been that. They're around here, and you know what? They're liars. I promise you. They've cast me into prison, okay? Can't make it up, guys. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video. And remember, Sir William Wallace. Scottish patriot born in Edinburgh. In the Circia, you know, which is the circle of the family, 1270 A.D. Whom in the year of 1296 fought dauntlessly in defense of his country's liberty and independence in the face of fearful odds and great hardship, being eventually betrayed and captured and brought to London and put to death near this spot on the 23rd of August, 1305. And folks, this is what you have suffered out to be a martyr of Christ. This is what being a martyr's about. It's not living in a big fine home. It's not that. It's not about having tons of money. And if you see somebody on TV taking the masses in one direction with their charismatic speech, it's not about that. Even the Pharisees did as much that in the days of Jesus. You think to follow them? Same thing happens then is the same thing that happens now. You take a look at somebody like me and say, Jerry, you're poor. You don't have nothing. You've been wretched out by the world. You've been cast into prison, and I have, folks. And if you heard any of some of my videos that I had there before, guess who else has been cast into prison? Brother Joseph Skinner. You see, that's what happens, people, to the martyrs of Christ. The martyrs of Christ don't run around, people, in big fine jets in the Horus Matrix. Okay? How in the world are you going to ride around in something like that in the world right here controlled by Satan? And then somebody you're going to say, well, Satan don't control this earth. Well, if Satan doesn't control this earth, then how can prophecy be fulfilled at this time? Because it's prophesied he's going to take control of this place completely, even you. And you're going to have a choice with the mark of the beast. So if he don't control it, how can he do that? How can he fulfill prophecy if he's not controlling this earth? You have to look at logic. And the logic is he's controlling it, and he has been controlling it. What did he do? He took Jesus up on a high mountain and what? All these kingdoms I will give to you if you will just bow down to me. And Jesus didn't say they're not yours to give. He said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. That's what he said, folks. That's what he said. And so, the original video, what it was about, it's the beginning of the age of Jesus Christ, the age of covering the earth, the industrial Aquarius age, and the transhuman age. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a short video, guys, to show you that this messianic age is here. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. And you're going to be able to see, obviously, it is. And how many of you know that the technology that you're getting, the technology that your reality is receiving through your eyes, is not what the latest up-to-date stuff is. They're giving you things, folks, it's 40, 50 years old. When I got into Aleister Crowley's stuff, some of these high-tech towers were in his stuff, and it was back in the 1940s. Why do you think I'm so sure that Aleister Crowley's behind this stuff, guys? I just don't sit around and look at Aleister Crowley and say, yeah, I think you're behind this stuff. I do it because I reason it out. And Crowley is behind what's going on right now. And it is in his books. Details. And it's even images that are alike. The giant's thumb from back in 1945 has technology in it from now. So do you think you know what's going on? You don't know jack, man. Here's my video. Thank you for watching this. Alright, whether I can get this to play or whether or not, I'm just going to make you a quick comment, guys. Just remember one thing. Live as a human and die as a human. Because you are perfect. You were made by the Lord. And that's it. And that cannot be afforded any further than that. Like, oh my God, this is what it's going to be like, Jerry? What do you think it's going to be? Lollipops and flip-flops? This is the messianic age, people.
More than any species in existence. But what if all our knowledge, all our accomplishments, and all our achievements could be learned in mere minutes? What if humanity's next evolution wasn't human at all? What happens when artificial becomes self-aware? Is it the key to immortality, or is it the path towards annihilation?
Now, we discovered that while you were at MIT, you wrote a thesis called Lazarus, almost a precursor to the current scientific movement known as singularity. Given that 15 years later you are creating a humanoid robot, do you still believe, like Dr. Kurzweil and many others, that mankind will someday evolve into, well, machines? Mr. Maxwell, something wrong?
There are a lot of secrets down here in the dark.
Weapons for the government.
No, I make intelligent machines. Machine, open your eyes. It's incredible. It's conscious. Machines are dangerous. This machine has the potential to be so much more than just a soldier. I'm afraid of you.
What are you looking for? Where are you going?
Again, my own. Let go of my own. She's deranged. I am working on a way to restore it. What are you, really?
I am part of the new world. And you are part of the old. I need your help.
With what exactly?
Winning the war. We can do this. Just come here every day and I'll train you.
A nationwide manhunt underway for the
experimental military drone that escaped from an FBI evidence storage facility in Nevada 73 hours ago. Hailed as the next generation of unmanned drone technology, the project was shut down after the robotic soldier malfunctioned. A mistake that resulted in the deaths of all 18 employees of Accelerated Dynamics, including genius inventor Alex Maxwell.
The reason I'm calling today is to express my disappointment that you have invited this highly sophisticated crackpot and given him a national forum to express his pseudo-religious predictions that have no basis in objective reality.
If you go back 500 years, not much happened in a century. Now a lot happens in 6 months. Technology feeds on itself and it gets faster and faster. It's going to continue. In about 40 years, it's going to be moving so fast, the pace of change is going to be so astonishingly quick that you won't be able to follow it unless you enhance your own intelligence by merging with the intelligent technology we're creating.
This guy is freaky. He says computers will have consciousness in just 25 years.
If you get to the 2030s, you're not going to be able to tell a clear difference between human and machine intelligence.
The big question to life is, who are we? What are we going to become? What's the future like? And he's got one of the most incredible track records in history for his ability to predict with pretty darn good accuracy.
He's an award-winning scientist and engineer, a millionaire several times over because of his inventions.
Baker's wild.
These inventions may end up causing the worst war that humanity's ever had.
Corporations and governments and societies will be created and destroyed on the back of the technology that this book describes.
The world is flattening. The world that is globalizing.
Inventor Ray Kurzweil thinks that one day humans may be able to live forever.
I want to live as long as I can. I don't want to die. If following Ray's regimen would put that day off, I'm very willing to do that. I knew there was a reason I was keeping all this stuff, and he kept all this stuff. I do plan to bring back my father.
God is who he is, and our challenge should be to know him, not try to create him.
I'm afraid of you.
It's going to scare a lot of people. The world is changing far too fast. Nothing like this has ever happened to Homo sapiens before.
These ideas are going to ultimately change the world. We didn't stay on the ground, we didn't stay on the planet, we didn't stay with the limitations of our biology.
I think Ray is performing the service of a prophet. That's wrong.
He has used the gift that he was given for the betterment of humankind. That's what I know.
It will be the universe waking up.
There's a possibility that in the future you could still talk to the people you love forever. If you upload the human mind into a computer, you could create a copy of yourself as an avatar. Now, your family might still be able to have conversations with you, even though you no longer exist in the material world anymore, but in digital space. In some sense, a part of you has become immortal. So clearly, we are entering a world where we can transcend space and time and even our own mortality. So let's go travel into the future.
Everyone in this room
is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Hey, Dylan. How you doing?
Hey, Clyde.
Please proceed with caution.
I know, I'm complicated. You're the one with the computer in your head. When I first met him, he was a shaman. He was a healer. He used his witchcraft to help people.
Witchcraft.
He's developing warfare technologies.
You ready to believe everything she tells you?
Cyborgs are all about the money.
Clyde?
I count 15 farm hands, all chipped and trackable.
What are they?
They're called SAR. Study, Analyze, Reprogram. They learn.
They had us, but while she was there, they let us walk. Why?
Identify.
Did you bring these Marines here?
Yes.
My God.
And you people thought all that was crazy, man. Me showing you stuff like that, it's all sci-fi. How many of you people know that there is a Cyberdyne Systems corporation that has that technology out in California? Look it up. And guess what, folks? There's the particle collider in front of it right there, the Hadron Particle Collider, just like on NOM the other day. And guess what? It's in the form of a pyramid. Guess who's behind all that, people? Prince William and the Pharaohs. Can't make it up, guys. It's the aristocracy, people. Thank you for watching my video.